KBLA1580.com or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting. A movement of people, it's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify. When you and God in time are best aligned.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right.
How can I be a better father, son, a better grandson, honoring Fannie Lou's and the Fred Hamptons, the Harriets, the chariots that carry us to various areas that marry us to progress. Yeah, we the harvest, the lovely days and midnight marauders, even through charges and days of darkness. No, we in the hands of the greatest artists. I see it in the waters, I see it in our daughters. They can be bridges that know no borders. For so long, them folks tried to ignore us. So we got the ballot boxes to vote for us. Peace to Stacey and the people of Georgia who galvanized.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, your host and White House correspondent, joining you live in afternoon drive time right here in LA, where I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Follow me on all the socials at Dr. Nicordelai. Just type in Dr. NIQ, DRNIIQ, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app if you haven't already. Download the app to listen to us live or on demand. Or just tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580, and there we are for your listening pleasure. Last but not least, be sure to subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast, and don't miss some of our most memorable conversations, all right? If you are in the car, I see you. Be safe out there. If you are riding with us live on the KBLA app, what's good? And if you pulled us up on YouTube and you are in A More Perfect group chat, go ahead and drop a comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. This is A More Perfect Union, and we've got a lot on the table today. This hour, ICE just told its own agents to pump the brakes after killing 2 men in 1 week who weren't even who they were looking for. Kentucky's governor is talking about the nuclear option because Mitch McConnell's been in the hospital a month and nobody's telling Kentucky what's really going on. The Senate's refusing to rubber stamp $1 trillion defense bill while the bombs are falling on Iran again. And Senator Raphael Warnock just quietly got something signed in the law that could change who ends up owning the house next door to you. Then a little bit later this hour, something different. A man who was homeless, sleeping in his car. I'm talking operating off of $2.50 a day to eat, who built that into a multi-billion-dollar empire. John Paul DeJoria, the co-founder of Paul Mitchell and Patrón Tequila. He's talking about his new memoir, Success Unshared Is Failure. And look, if you only catch the highlights live, don't stress. Remember, the full extended cut of this conversation drops on our podcast, A More Perfect Union, powered by KBLA Talk 1580. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you don't miss it. And then in hour 2, Supreme Court justices testify before Congress, AI coming for your job, and Marco Rubio trying to take a wrecking ball to the International Criminal Court. We'll break it all down with the incomparable Dr. Jonathan E. Collins of Columbia University and Desiree Cormier-Smith, co-president of the Alliance for Diplomacy and Justice. And so let's go ahead and get into it. It's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off, ICE just quietly ordered its own agents to stop most vehicle stops. That's after killing 2 men in 2 different states in under a week. And neither one of them was even who they were looking for. So in case you're not all that familiar with the story, here's what happened. Last week in Houston, ICE officers shot and killed Lorenzo Salgado Arujo, 52 years old, a man who was on his way to a construction job after federal agents in unmarked vehicles pursued him. The Department of Homeland Security says that he weaponized his vehicle. Other men riding with him say that's not true. They say officers in unmarked cars, they trailed them, then boxed the vehicle in on both sides. Then this Monday in Biddeford, Maine, an ICE officer shot and killed 26-year-old Colombian national Johann Sebastian Duran Guerrero. Department of Homeland Security says that he tried to flee and the officer feared for public safety. But check this. Maine Senator Angus King, he said that Secretary Mullen initially told him a different story than what DHS put out publicly. And King said that Mullen told him officers were actually there to serve a warrant on somebody else, not the man who got shot. No body cameras, neither man was the target. Let that sit for you for just 1 second. And here's what tells you everything. This tells you everything. That internal order came down Monday across at least 3 ICE regions, telling agents to stop most vehicle stops. One ICE officer put it about as plain as it gets. Whatever these chuckle Fs did in Maine and Houston is serious. Another said that the new move is to grab people before they leave the driveway or wait and catch them somewhere stationary, specifically to avoid another shooting. And this wasn't announced with a press conference. It came down quietly through field office directors, not written policy specifically to dodge the paper trail. Read into that what you want. But this is at least the 9th death since the deportation crackdown started. And hundreds of people were out in the street in Maine on Tuesday for Duran Guerrero. It's also worth noting that NBC is reporting that there are sources that are saying that pressure to hit arrest quotas put officers under, quotes, too much stress. That is not an excuse for a killing. That's a system built to fail somebody. In other news, but a related story on another coast, Santa Clara County, near Gilroy, California, up north, the feds just agreed to pause construction on what sure looks like a new ICE detention facility. Key word looks like, because ICE and the Department of Homeland Security have never officially admitted that's what it is. The whole thing got exposed through property records, not a government announcement. And as recently as late May, ICE was straight up saying they had no plans for a detention center in Gilroy. The county and the state sued, arguing no environmental review was ever done and the land's zoned strictly for agriculture. Plus, the feds tried to move on this without giving state or local officials a real say, which may violate federal law. Compromise? Construction's paused till early September when a judge hears the request to block it for good. If built, this facility could hold up to 150 people. And the county council said it best, quotes, now that the cat's out of the bag, we're pleased that the defendants have agreed to halt construction in advance of the court's hearing. And now to Kentucky, and this one is wild, y'all. This is wild. It's really about power. It's about power. It's about health. It's about who gets to decide who represents you when the person you elected can't tell you what's actually wrong. Mitch McConnell's been hospitalized since June 14th. He was briefly unconscious. He needed CPR at his DC home. And weeks of near silence from his office. This past weekend, he finally put out proof of life, at least a proof of life photo, as some people are calling it, sitting up in a hospital bed next to his wife, Elaine Chao, saying, quotes, "I didn't have a heart attack or a stroke. I don't have any tumors or hemorrhages, but I was briefly unconscious and was taken to the hospital," and confirming he's also dealing with pneumonia. Now, here's where it gets political. Kentucky's Democratic Governor Andy Beshear says that he's ready to fight this out in court for power to pick McConnell's replacement if McConnell can't finish his term. Why this is a fight at all, you might wonder? Well, because Kentucky's Republican legislature passed not one, but two laws specifically to keep Beshear from having that power. First, forcing him to pick from 3 Republican-approved names, then switching it to a special election where Beshear has 0 say. But Beshear's got a card to play, a Kentucky constitutional provision that says the governor fills vacancies, period. And there's a real legal question whether that applies to a U.S. Senate seat, too, since, as he pointed out, past governors made appointments under exactly that provision before any of these newer laws even existed. McConnell's retiring in January no matter what, but if that seat opens up before then and a Senate split, this gets real interesting real fast. That ties right into the Iran fight that's been building all year. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer just went hard. He just went hard no on the annual defense bill, the $1.15 trillion Pentagon bill, specifically because of Iran. Why now, you might wonder? Well, because Trump declared the ceasefire with Iran over. Y'all remember that? And then went back to bombing. And Schumer's calling this defense bill a permission slip for the administration with no counterweight on the war. Now, this comes right after the Senate actually passed a war powers resolution to rein in Trump's ability to keep bombing without Congress signing off. Republicans, Rand Paul, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Bill Cassidy crossing over. Trump's response, he called it poorly timed and meaningless, and said the Republicans who voted for it had provided aid and comfort to the enemy. Let me remind you, this is the 10th time this year the Senate had to vote on this. 10th. That tells you how far from settled this really is, even inside his own party. When we come forward, Dr. Jonathan E. Collins and Desiree Cormier Smith join me right here on A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from Nitsa and the Ad Council.
She's sharp. She's fearless.
I don't know what they told you, but if they told you that cutting me off is how I was going to get clicks, stop it now.
She's that girl, and she's bringing all of that to your radio this summer. Amanda Seales is here.
I am Amanda Seales.
Comedian, artist, actress, activist, truth teller. The woman who never bites her tongue is coming to KBLA Talk 1580. And baby, the conversations are about to be unmatched. Every Friday, she's going to be lit noon to 2 p.m. and back again 4 to 6 p.m. starting Friday, July 17th. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. Amanda Seales, keeping it real, keeping it raw, and keeping it rooted. Politics, pop culture, Black excellence, the stuff they don't want us talking about. Amanda's talking about all of it.
You keep interrupting me when I'm talking, and you don't want to hear the point that I'm going to make. And yet you want me to respect your point. And that's not how a debate works.
This is not your average radio show. This is a Seales Summer. Fridays, noon to 2, 4 to 6. Starting Friday, July 17th. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. Don't just listen. Tune in.
Hit me! National News The Consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, and let me tell you something. Every single one of us has had a moment where somebody looked at us and decided that we weren't going to make it. Maybe it was a teacher, maybe it was a relative, maybe it was just the world, the way it's built, telling you quietly or not so quietly, this isn't for you. My guest today was voted least likely to succeed in high school. He had a business teacher tell him to his face that he'd fail at anything he tried. Spent stretches of his life more than once without a home, sleeping in his car with a $2.50 a day to eat on. But today he's a billionaire. Co-founded Paul Mitchell Hair Care. Co-founded Patrón Tequila. Sold it for over $5 billion. He signed the Giving Pledge next to Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, and he just dropped a memoir that's really a philosophy wrapped in a life story. It's called Success Unshared Is Failure. This is John Paul DeJoria. And I want to get into this, not the highlight reel, but the actual story. And so welcome to the show, John Paul. How are you?
Thank you, sir. I am very well, sir. And thank you for allowing me to be on your show, especially where I was born in Los Angeles, California, where a lot of it started when I was homeless.
That's right. That's right. Well, I want to start before the money, before the brands. I want to actually go to East LA, your old stomping ground. Yep. Take me to a kid whose mama is raising him, and his brother largely on her own, and who's already out there working at 9 years old selling Christmas cards door to door.
Exactly. Yeah. We were born a single mom. Our dad deserted us before I was 2 years old, never paid child support or anything. And my mom really, really struggled to raise us. But she was a very positive lady and never let us know how bad things were. Would never let us know how bad things were. A beautiful mother, okay, and would think positive. But we wanted to pitch in and help out as little kids. I remember in East LA, we were in a foster home for a few years. My mom got very, very sick. So from age 5 years old till 9.5, I was in a foster home with my brother, but we were the lucky ones. We get to see our mom either every other weekend, sometimes every weekend when she was able to see us. So, and she was so sweet that during holidays, maybe Christmas or Thanksgiving, she'd let us bring, if we wanted to, other foster kids that parents never visit them because a lot of them are orphans, even have a foster home parent, and we would bring them home with us. She just was so giving and taught us so much. So when we finally had the opportunity at a young age, like at Christmas cards, I would sell Christmas cards, door to door and make a little bit of money to help mama out. And then when I was 11 years old, my brother and I was a little older than I was, we got paper routes with the LA Examiner. It was the #1 morning newspaper back, this is the 1950s, okay? And we made each about $31 a month and gave it to mom. So we were home, we could take care of ourselves. We were out of foster care at that time, and we could pitch in with the family. And what's interesting is that my mom was so darn positive that we knew what kindness and love was and what the wealthy people ate. And you know how we knew that? She would give us a little, because we didn't have a TV set, by the way. She'd give us a little teeny piece. She'd bring it home, a filet mignon steak, and cut that little piece in 3 pieces and said, boys, the wealthy people eat something called filet mignon. We're going to eat just like those people have lots of money. And we would taste the filet mignon. I mean, that's the kind of mom we have, little piece each. She was just the sweetest lady in the world, and just taught us, boys, that you can do anything you want out there in the world, and taught us about giving. When I was 6 years old, takes us down to downtown LA at Christmas time to see all the things going on in the windows, the puppets and the little trolley cars outside. And this was 1950. I was 6 years old. Gave my brother and I a dime and said, boys, hold half of it each. Go give it to that guy ringing the red bell in the bucket. So we did. And we said, Mom, why do we give that guy a dime? Now, this is 1950, okay? That's 2 big soda pops and 3 big candy bars. And Mom said, boys, that's the Salvation Army. There's people that have no food and no place to live. We don't have any money. However, we could afford a dime, and we want to give a little something. And I never forgot that. That was from Mom. Big
now,
heart.
you also joined a gang for a minute as a teenager. You were voted least likely to succeed, as I mentioned earlier. And talk to us about, what did you know about yourself in that moment that nobody else could see?
Well, I'll go back to the part where the teacher taught. Now, look, the gang was very easy. Where I grew up in East LA, there are a lot of gangs there. We were a little gang. We're called the Pink Rats. We even had little push-button knives that were maybe 2-inch blade or something like that, only because you could buy them in those days. And we would save up our money or get Coke bottles and cash them in. And we have these little push-button knives we would push. We never stabbed anybody. We never threatened anybody. We just thought we were badass because we watched Marlon Brando at the movie theaters on his motorcycle being a badass. So we thought that was cool, but we never really hurt anybody. But let me go on a little bit further as time does go on, especially when someone tells you you're not going to make it. It's in high school. And my friend Michelle Gilliam, it was in Business 101, the 11th grade. We would pass notes where I'd write a little note and she was behind me. I'd kind of lean back and pass it to her. She'd get it, write something back. And Mr. Wax, our teacher, caught me. And he got that. He read the note to the whole class. And it was something like, I'll see you, Michelle, after school. We're going down to Winchell's, and Darling and Marie and Ronnie are probably going to get us go study, some silly like that. He read it to the whole class and said, you see these two, this Johnny DeJoria and this Michelle Gilliam, they'll never amount to anything. They're going to be failures in life. Don't hang out with them. Quick little story. Get out of the Navy, come home, and my dear friends say, JP, your good buddy Michelle, what do you think of what she's accomplished? I said, I don't know. I've been gone for a few years in the Navy on an aircraft carrier. Why? What did Michelle do? He says, you don't know? I said, no, not a clue. What did she do? He says, JP, she was the most famous people in the world today. Michelle Gilliam. She said, well, JP, it's no longer Michelle Gilliam. It's Michelle Phillips of the Mamas and Papas. She was the thinner one of the Mamas and Papas with the blonde hair. That was Michelle. Anyways, on my 50th birthday, which was 30 some odd years ago, okay, she found him, and my wife arranged it to get him on down there, right, to our little celebration for 50 years old. My wife Eloise arranged it. We went down there in my 57 Chevy in LA at El Cholo on Wilshire Boulevard. That's where you went. We used to hang out there. And she brought Mr. Wax. She found him. And we told her what he said and how we all accomplished something different. He goes, no, I don't think I said that. We said, you did. We were both there. I said, we made out okay, and life is still good.
Oh, wow. So fast forward, you're grown, you've been in the Navy, you've sold insurance, you've sold encyclopedias door to door, dozens of no's in a row. And then you and a hairdresser named Paul Mitchell decided to start a hair care company for $700. Some of that borrowed from your own mother. And while you're building it, you're also living in your car. And so I really want our audience of leaders, learners, and listeners to sit with that for a second. Because a lot of folks that are listening right now, that are streaming right now, a lot of them know what it is to be one paycheck, one bad month away from the same situation. What was that actually like day to day?
Well, I was there living paycheck to paycheck when I did have paychecks. However, when I started the company and had no money, it turned out to be, for the longest time, I'd have $2.50, breakfast 99 cents, $1.25 with a little tip included to have the dinner at night. It was very, very difficult. It was not easy. That's another one of the reasons for writing the book. People said, JP, you've got to get the story out there because America is getting too polarized now. By the way, I'm an independent. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a pure independent. And I really support someone that really supports all the people, not just some of them, okay? But people are getting polarized. And a good example is I wrote the book, Success Unshared Is Failure, because I've been asking by people all along, JP, tell someone the story. And can you still do today what you did in 1980? The answer was yes, and easier than I did it. Really, write the book. Took me 2.5 years to write it. It was in LA where I was sleeping in my car, and how I learned at the Freeway Cafe right there at Cahuenga and Ventura Boulevard that they had the biker and truckers breakfast. You had to go after 9 because they had no business till 11. 99 cents, 1 egg, and your choice of 1 piece of bacon or 1 sausage, 1 piece of bread, and the orange juice or coffee. I picked the orange juice. Of course, took the 1 piece of bread and took the sausage because it was bigger. And of course, my 1 egg. That was breakfast. And then El Torito started at 4:30 in the afternoon, what they called happy hour. So I would go there happy hour, 99-cent margarita. It wasn't Patrón, but it's okay. But they had all the salsa you could eat, chicken wings. And I was there every day for dinner. After 3 or 4 days, they caught on. And then she came over and said, the waitress said, are you down and out by any chance? Because it looks like you're eating everything inside. And I told them the truth. I'm trying to start a business. I had no money, living in my car, shower at Griffith Park, and all this. Pretty soon they bring me an enchilada every now and then or a taco. So, they helped out. And when I finally made money a few years later, I found every one of them and gave them the biggest tip they've ever had in their life. Just out of God bless you and just thank you so much. But success unshared is failure. So it was tough, but in LA is where I did it.
Wow, you're taking me down memory lane. There was an El Torito I used to love to go to in the Bay Area, and I gotta vouch for the chips and salsa. You also said that your rule is don't go into the selling business, go into the reorder business. For the small business owners and the folks with side hustles out there that are a part of our audience, barbers and braiders, folks looking to run a food truck or a clothing line out of their trunk. What does that actually mean in practice?
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nee Cordelai-Corte on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump says he will address the nation in a primetime speech Thursday focused partly on election integrity.
It's really big news.
He is expected to discuss declassified intelligence involving alleged foreign interference in the 2020 election and appear alongside top federal officials. University of Dayton Basketball Hall of Famer Roosevelt Chapman Jr. is speaking out after charges against him were dismissed. Chapman, joined by the NAACP, says his former partner grabbed the steering wheel and caused the crash in May. Police filed kidnapping and assault charges, but a grand jury declined to indict him. And Dallas Wings star Paige Beckers is criticizing the WNBA's lack of Black women serving as head coaches. Beckers, who is white, says qualified Black candidates are being overlooked and believes a league built largely by Black women should provide more opportunities for them to lead teams. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
St. Louis Cardinals outfielder Jordan Walker, an African-American from Stone Mountain, Georgia, will receive $1 million for winning the Home Run Derby during Major League Baseball's All-Star Weekend in Philadelphia. The $1 million is more than Walker's salary this season. Walker, in his third season with the Cardinals, is earning $800,000 this year. Walker is the first African-American player to win the Home Run Derby since Detroit's Prince Fielder in 2012. Since the Home Run Derby was created in 1985, 8 African-American players have won the title. An update for you on the percentage of African-American players in Major League Baseball this season. The number is 6.8%. That's way below the 18% that were on MLB rosters in 1991. And Dave Roberts of the Dodgers is still baseball's only African-American manager. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
Our voices aren't the minority opinion. They're the American conscience. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
This is America.
Let me put my hard hat on, go back outside, and see if these procrastination Crenshaw construction crews have shown up yet. I'm saving space for grace, but if these trucks don't show up soon, well, you already know.
Destination Crenshaw, your time is up. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580 and Bethesda Temple Church invite residents, churches, businesses, and community leaders along the Crenshaw corridor to join a vitally important community conversation Thursday, July 30th, 6:30 p.m. at Bethesda Temple Church, 4909 Crenshaw Boulevard. For years now, this community has been living with unkept promises and the devastating effects of the unfinished Destination Crenshaw construction project, leaving residents, businesses, and churches to deal with myriad problems, including the loss of parking, restricted access, traffic congestion, and a lack of emergency vehicle access when it matters most. For years now, Procrastination Crenshaw has directly contributed to the loss of customer revenue for local Black-owned businesses and, sadly, has forced the closure of some businesses along this 1.3-mile corridor. For years now, churches have been experiencing decreased attendance due to the elimination of parking, and social service programs for vulnerable fellow citizens have been altogether halted. For years now, residents have watched their quality of life erode, and nothing has been done about it. If they think they can get away with treating Black folk like second-class citizens, they better think again.
You better think about what you're trying to do to me.
This town hall meeting is a reckoning, a public witness, an opportunity for impacted community members to share their experiences for the public record as we prepare to hold those responsible accountable for this enduring nightmare. So please join us Thursday, July 30th, 6:30 p.m. at Bethesda Temple Church, 4909 Crenshaw Boulevard. This town hall meeting is free and open to the public, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, well, what it means in practice is that you could actually do whatever you want if you believed in yourself, and are able to have something people want. When you go into just a selling business, what people do a lot of times, majority of them, is, what do I have to do to sell my product? What do I have to say? What do I got to do to sell my product? Well, that's not what I did. What I did was this. I have to have a product because I have no money because our backer pulled out, okay? Is I have to get something that is so good, people want to reorder it. If it's a physical product, it's so good, they want to use it time and time again, being that good. Example, my first 3 products with Paul Mitchell, driven around, living in my car. We still sell 46 years later, and they're still big sellers because of the quality of the product. If you have a service that you have where they only buy it one time, if it's so good, you're in the reorder business. They'll tell their friends about it and they'll get more people coming to you. So that's a really big deal. Don't go in the selling business, go into the reorder business. Your product's that good. The second thing is be prepared for rejection. You're going to get it, and a lot of it. And you're going to think about, oh, if only I did that differently, it wouldn't be as bad as it is. It's that person's fault. Don't do that. We get rejections because we're human beings. We're put in these bodies, and we're going to get rejections all along the way there. You know, if you're not, man, my God, I don't know what kind of life you're living, but one way or another, you get rejections. But don't let it get to you. When I sold encyclopedias door to door, commission only for Colliers in LA, by the way, commission only. Okay. You made no money unless you sold a set of books. But what you did do was you went out there and you realized there was a lot of rejection. Average lifespan of an encyclopedia salesman on commission, no leads, just door to door, was 3.5 days. I lasted almost 4 years, but I believe what they told me about rejection. So they said after 50 doors, if they're closed in your face politely or not so politely, be just as enthusiastic on door number 51 as you were on the first door. For me, it was door 100 and something, okay? But I was just as enthusiastic, and I lasted. I was one of those that lasted, and it turned out okay. So you got to be prepared for that in life. Know it's going to come, and not let it get you down, and do not think about the past. Anything you did wrong, any opportunity you passed up in the past, anybody that wasn't nice to you or mean to you or told you could never make it, you can't change that. It's yesterday's newspaper. Leave it behind you and just look forward. What's the next thing I got to do? I got to eat. I got to get a job. I got to get some clothes. In Los Angeles, I helped start and support. I still do Chrysalis. I live in Austin, by the way, for the last 27 years. But Chrysalis is in downtown LA and in Santa Monica. And even during 2009 and 2010, we were in recession, I flew out there and I talked to a lot of the homeless out there. That year, when no one could get a job, we had about 3,000 homeless people, men and women alike, come to Chrysalis. We helped them get a place to live, where to go to get food to eat, and trained them how to fill out a resume, and gave them tokens on a bus, how to go there, and work with them every day till they got a job. We had 3,000 people that year, about 3,000 people, where no one was getting jobs. 1,600 of them got a job. Many of them, lower paying, but they got a job because they believed in themselves, and there's a new world for them, and there's there to help them. So if you're in Los Angeles, guys, Chris will help you out if you're homeless. And if you've got a business going and it's not growing as fast or as big you want, Success Unshared Is Failure covers that also. How to be kind, a kind business person where people don't want to leave you, and how to build a business. Today, you have something I didn't have in my day. You have computers. We didn't have computers, okay? But you have things like, well, one of them is global, like GOBAL, Global SKU, globalsku.com. It's $15 a month, but you could take your camera and take a picture of an old T-shirt in your wardrobe, half a bicycle, anything, and get it online. You take a picture, it instantly tells you what it is and what it last sold for used. So you would know if you went online with it, what you could possibly sell it for. And then you push a button, you have a choice of different platforms to get on to sell it, all in your home. And I think you get about 20, maybe 25 sales for that $15 a month. That's it. But it's all in front of you. So you have those things today. I mean, it was so good. I invested in the darn company. It's so good. But those things exist today. They didn't exist in our day. It was door to door, door to door. And hopefully somebody will listen to you, especially if you don't have distribution.
Yeah. And it's also worth noting that Paul Mitchell products are in over 90,000 salons now in more than 80 countries, including a massive footprint in Black hair care and Black-owned salons across the country. Correct. Did you know back then when you were broke that this is where things were headed, or were you just trying to make it to Friday?
By the way, great question. I want to answer both of those, okay? Had no idea. Our goal was if we could only make $5 million a year in sales one day, not right away in one day, we'd each make $250,000. We'd be set for life. But then as we did the company, we realized that, my God, we could make it bigger, 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 and bigger. And we learned that by doing it and growing it and learning by all of our mistakes. God knows we made a lot of them. Let me cover the Black industry if I could, because people are saying, JP, God, your products are good. You should start a Black division for Black people's hair and all the challenges they have. I said, no. We do not and never will make products for different colors of people. We make products for different textures of hair. And there are people that are lily white that have the same texture of hair as somebody that, may be of a darker color and has more kinkier hair or whatever it might be. White people have the same thing, and there's people all over the world. So we make it for different textures of hair. We are inclusive automatically because that's what we do. And it was way before people said, let's start this inclusion, because we realized and we knew it's we the people of the United States of America, and we all kinds of different types of hair, different experiences. It's we the people.
Wow, that's incredible. So let's move on from hair care to tequila.
Yeah.
Your business partner, Paul Mitchell, in 1989, he passes away. It's the same year that you go all in on a tequila brand that nobody in America is really asking for. Nobody's checking for this. You didn't know the spirits brand business. You didn't know the spirits business, rather. Sourced from a small distillery in Jalisco, Mexico, ends up becoming Patrón, the biggest ultra premium tequila in the world.
That's correct.
And you sell it for over $5 billion. That's a story people love to tell as a straight line, but it wasn't a straight line, was it?
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, the value of the company was $5.1 billion, and I would not normally talk about that, but it made the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Everybody knows if you look it up. But no, it wasn't easy whatsoever. We knew nothing about it. That was another reason for writing Success Unshared Is Failure. How do you start a business you don't know a darn thing about? Nothing. And when we started Patrón, we had to sell it, each bottle, for $37.95. In 1989, the average bottle of tequila was $5. Nobody wanted to take it. We finally talked people into taking it, but it was a couple of years before they really gained momentum. Everyone said it's the best tequila in the world, but it's just too expensive. We were the first to introduce ultra premium tequila. Well, we showed that it really works. Today, I have another tequila. I sold Patrón 8 years ago, had a non-compete for 5 years, but I started another one, but didn't do anything with it. So they said, after 5 years, you can. It's called Bandero, by the way. And the Bandero tequila, I started, similar to Patrón, show somebody something different. But why? Because America still works and you could do things. And even though today, today, there's over 200 tequilas out there, they say is high premium, the best there is. At that time, there were none. Could you do the same thing today after you have all this competition? Yes, I can. Okay. And it's not a Patrón product, it was something totally different, but it was a tequila brand. In other words, as time changed, you change with it and you learn. And the book tells you, I don't think we have the time on your radio station. If we did, and I'll come back for an hour with you if you wanted me to, how to do it if you know nothing about a business, how to learn it really, really fast, how to get distribution when nobody wants you, how you go out and you get it yourself. And that was another reason for writing the book. Because so many people say, God, I want to do this, but I don't know anything about it, tells you how to do it.
Well, you have an open invitation to come back and join us to chat for an hour about so many more things. But but let's keep going while we have you here. We know that a lot of our leaders, learners, and listeners are watching wealth inequality widen in this country, and they're wondering, especially with the anniversary, the 250th anniversary of America, if the American dream story still holds up for people who look like them, coming from where they come from. For folks that, are Black or brown, folks who may have come up in homes where they were broke, they came up in foster care, gang adjacent, written off by the system. What do you say to a young Black or brown entrepreneur that's listening right now who feels like the deck is stacked differently for them than it was for you?
You got it. Gladly. And by the way, I support a couple of organizations that take care of kids that are out of foster care. That support them, to give them a place to live and education, help them get jobs. So I'm really into that. My message is this, and it's the main message that I try and deliver to everybody. Your mind, the way you think, is going to prevent you from doing what your purpose is. We think, and we're humans, but all the things that didn't happen and everything we heard, like, oh my God, you can't make it unless you have this. You can't make it unless you have this certain color. It's the 1% against the 99%. Well, surprise, and I surprised everybody when a decade ago I went on worldwide TV representing the 1%. And they said, JP, you're representing the 1%. And we have the sitting on Wall Street, saying, things are not fair for everybody else. It's that 1% that runs everything. And what do you think about what's going on? I changed the narrative. I said, guys, I may be the 1% because America worked for me, but I'm also the 99%. I'm a high school graduate. I was homeless, living in my car. I started a business with nothing, and it works. America still works. So now you're talking to someone who represents 100% of the United States, not 1%, okay? It's we the people of the United States, and that's how everybody's got to think. It's we the people. The narrative changed on the show. Thank God they kept me on for another 15 minutes and I was off the show because it kind of busted their narrative, what they want to talk about. But it's the truth and people don't know it. And then you see people pitting this group against that group. And all of a sudden, to be cool, you got to join this group. And those guys are bad. To be cool, you got to do this because those guys are the wrong people. Oh, they're lazy, they're not going to do anything. That's bullshit, okay? It's we, the people of the United States of America. I don't care what color you are, what creed you are, what you believe in. We have that opportunity. You got to believe in yourself. God gave you something really good. But what he doesn't want you to do is live in the past. No matter what happened to you in your life that you regret not doing at the time. If only I would have done that. Or I was fired because of this, or anything it might be. You can't change it. You cannot change yesterday's newspapers. Do what I did when I was homeless, living in my car. First thing I need is money. Where do I get money? Okay, I don't have any money. First time I was homeless, I went around and collected Coke bottles from gas stations at night when they were closed, or old empty fields. You would throw your soda pop bottle out, and I would cash them in. It was 2 cents for a little one, 5 cents for a big one. And this is when, way long before I even started Paul Mitchell, the first time I was homeless, and I was just in my early 20s with a little kid. But you find ways to do it, right? You find ways to do it. But I left everything behind because you can't change it. Nothing you could change. So it's not, oh my God, you think over and over again how bad things are and what caused what I could only do differently. You can't change yesterday's newspaper. Look at what the next step is and how you do it. And that was another purpose for writing the book. It's for everybody to know what you can do. I'll give you one example in the book. A lot of people are totally unaware of. I don't care who you are, what you are, you can do it. It's in the book. I got an okay to put it in with pictures and all. I'm the guy that went into Libya with Omar Gaddafi and helped convince him to go into the releasing the 2 suspected terrorists to Pan Am Flight 103 to go on trial in The Hague so he could have relationships for the United States. There's a picture of us in the book. And there was a lot of controversy when I went there. In fact, while what was going on there, Gaddafi wanted to kill me because of something I said. The anger he had in his eyes, looking at me, was like, okay, it's all over with, right? But then I came out being myself, and I told him a few things with humor. He started laughing after I said, isn't that funny? All of a sudden, his anger turned to happiness. Can we take a picture together? Sure. I had an $8 throwaway camera. The kind you had, you made 35 camera pictures. Okay, one of those. I gave it from the chief of staff, Omar Montazor, said, would you mind taking a picture of us? And Gaddafi said, okay. I went there and took a picture. It's in the book of me and Gaddafi. But it showed, and I'm not an agent, never have been, of the CIA or the FBI. I do train them and made the front page of the Wall Street Journal. But what do I train them in? Management, how to be a more loving, caring manager. It made the front page of the Wall Street Journal, I think it was in 1999. Okay, made the front page. Have a good hair day at the CIA. John Paul DeJoria is training them how to be a more loving manager because he wants to train everybody how to be a more loving manager. The world changes. It's up to every one of us to be part of that change, to help one another out. And when we do get a little bit of success, even if it's in the job we do, the happiness in our life, share it, help others, teach others, because there is a better life for every one of us right now, and even easier than it was for me when I was, back in 1980 to start a company with no money. Easier today.
That's incredible. I feel like I could talk to you definitely for so much more time. And so we're going to have you back to talk about the giving pledge and so many other things. But John Paul DeJoria, the book is Success Unshared Is Failure. It's out now. And if you need a reminder today that where you start doesn't have to be where you finish. That the car you might be sleeping in, the rejection that you're facing, the folks who counted you out, that none of them get the final word unless you let it. This conversation was for you. Go pick up the book. And to all my leaders, learners, and listeners out there, as always, before you go anywhere today, take care of somebody today. Somebody's counting on you. Whether they've said it out loud or not, that's love, that's peace, that's happiness. And we appreciate your time, JP.
Peace, love, and happiness. And that was a great message for your audience. There's hope for all of us.
Absolutely. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Listen up, KBLA delegation. We have something you need to hear. Right now, you may qualify for low-cost home internet. And we're not talking about a catch. This is real. Many internet service providers offer low-cost internet plans if anyone in your household is enrolled in CalFresh, Medi-Cal, SSI, or is income eligible. There are a lot of families in our community who deserve to be connected. Here's all you do. Call 844-461-7893. That's the Get Connected call center. Real people ready to help you enroll today. Or go online to internetforallnow.org to find a provider near you. You may also qualify for a low-cost computer through Human IT. Connectivity is not a luxury. In 2026, it's a necessity, and you deserve access just like everybody else. Call 844-461-7893. That's 844-461-7893. KBLA's got you. If you missed any of this, you can always go to our website at KBLA1580.com. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 in partnership with the California Emerging Technology Fund, CETF.
Hi, I'm Chris Holden, former California Assembly member, former mayor of Pasadena, and CEO of LA Fire Justice. I've spent my career fighting for our communities. When I saw Edison celebrating $4.5 billion in profits while Eaton fire survivors struggled to make ends meet, it made me simultaneously sick and furious. Families and individuals are dealing with financial pressure, insurance delays, costly remediation, and the painful question of how to rebuild their lives, while the utility that caused the fire is paying its executives millions and is more profitable than ever. That's not justice. That's a disgrace. Join the lawsuit with LA Fire Justice to hold Edison accountable. We're here to help you, your family, and our community recover. Visit lafirejustice.com today to learn more about your eligibility and how to start.
Advertisement. Douglas Boxer, 221 East Walnut Street, Suite 100, Pasadena, California, 91101 is the attorney responsible for this ad.
LA Fire Justice is proud to sponsor Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
This November, you'll decide who leads California. So shouldn't you hear directly from the people asking for your vote? Join us for California Voices, a political town hall and ballot forum, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026. Meet candidates running for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and other major statewide and local offices, including mayor of Los Angeles, city attorney, and LA County sheriff. Get clear, nonpartisan breakdowns of the propositions on your November ballot, both sides, no spin. And ask your questions directly, in real conversation, face to face. California Voices is brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress, giving you the information you need before you vote. Mark your calendar, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026, California Voices. Follow KBLA 1580 for details and download the KBLA 1580 app. Your vote, your voice. Be there.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, and it is about that time. What time am I talking about? I'm talking about it's time for the quiet part out loud. And today we focus on Senator Raphael Warnock of the great state of Georgia. Now, this is a genuinely good story, and I want to sit with it a second because good news in this business can sometimes feel rare, and this one hits your actual pocketbook. Senator Raphael Warnock's provision banning big private equity firms from buying up more single-family homes is now federal law. Let me say that again. Federal law. And it happened without Trump even signing it, because under the Constitution, if he doesn't sign or veto within 10 days while Congress is in session, it becomes law anyway. So he just sat on it and it passed anyway. But here's why Senator Warnock's been fighting for this. In the metro Atlanta area alone, corporate investors own more than 72,000 single-family rental homes, more than 1 in 4 in the whole region. This is not abstract. This is Wall Street buying up entire blocks in cash, outbidding families just trying to buy their first house, turning what should be generational wealth into a hedge fund's rental portfolio. You see, the new law bans corporations that own more than 350 single-family homes from buying more, with a fine of $1 million or 3 times the purchase price if they break the cap. Now, listen to this. Barbershop owner Jacob Parcell out of Smyrna, Georgia, 2 years trying to buy a home. 2. And he said it plain. Quotes, I believe if you work hard and if you save for years, you should be able to buy a home in the neighborhood that you want to be in. That's the whole American dream. One sentence. And for us, Black families who've had home ownership blocked or stolen at every turn, redlining to right now, this one's personal. Warnock said it best. Housing is dignity. Housing is stability. Housing is hope. Housing is hope. If you are just now pulling up, you can find us on the KBLA app. You can catch the simulcast on YouTube. And again, if you are interested in learning more about John Paul DeJoria's journey, who would have ever known that the co-founder of Patrón and the co-founder of Paul Mitchell Hair Care would be so interesting and have so many things to say. I mean, we could have talked so much longer, but I'm glad that he agreed to come on back so we can keep the conversation going. In part because, you know, we talk about billionaires as if they hadn't lived whole lives. And whether you're a billionaire or a billion pennier, I'm always interested in people's origin stories, and so I hope you found his story to be as interesting as I did. You were listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Jonathan E. Collins of Columbia University and Desiree Cormier-Smith of the Alliance for Diplomacy and Justice join me in our next hour to separate the fact from the fiction. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump says he will address the nation in a primetime speech Thursday focused partly on election integrity.
It's really big news.
He is expected to discuss declassified intelligence involving alleged foreign interference in the 2020 election and appear alongside top federal officials. University of Dayton Basketball Hall of Famer Roosevelt Chapman Jr. is speaking out after charges against him were dismissed. Chapman, joined by the NAACP, says his former partner grabbed the steering wheel and caused a crash in May. Police filed kidnapping and assault charges, but a grand jury declined to indict him. And Dallas Wings star Paige Beckers is criticizing the WNBA's lack of Black women serving as head coaches. Beckers, who is white, says qualified